What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. On today's video, we are going over Solana as it has now lost support and is breaking out to the downside of this ascending wedge. Now, in the last video, we talked about the fact that there was a 70% chance that we did break out to the downside of this ascending wedge, and that is exactly what's happening. These ascending wedges are typically bearish patterns. They are very, very hard to maintain, and unless you are getting an excessive and insane amount of volume, it is very hard to push your way out of the top side of them, especially when you have such a strong level of resistance sitting right above you. Okay, and so with that being said, what we can see here is that it has broken out to the downside. Now, in yesterday's video, again, I told you when this happens, if this happens, I'm going to tell you all if it looks more like some type of top or a reversal, or if it just looks like a simple retracement. And I will go ahead and say that already it is coming across to just be a simple retracement, which is of course good if you are still, making some trades on this, swing trading it, or you're just simply longing it. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's talk about what we can expect from Solana's price and how I am seeing this thing playing out into the future. Now, what we can see immediately is that there is already some bullish divergence happening on the charts. What this tells me is that this is more than likely going to be just a simple retracement. Now, of course, the way we know that is by just looking at our bottoms. What you can see is that we're setting some higher lows here. We set a low, we set a higher low, and our RSI is putting in lower lows. What this means is that as the pressure is slowly declining on the price, it is more dramatically declining on our relative strength index, meaning that the likelihood of us seeing, some type of bottoming out down at these levels before our price even comes down to set a lower low is pretty likely. Okay, that's typically what happens. We're giving ourselves all of this room back to the upside. So when that we do find a bottom here and we do find a bottom here somewhere, we have a big alleyway to the top that'll typically allow our price to go up and set a new all-time high, considering the fact that it has this much room to work on the relative strength index. So whenever we see this much bullish divergence, it is always a good sign whenever we see a breakout to the downside to say, okay, there's a strong likelihood of this thing finding some support very soon. Now, one thing we can also see on the daily or on the 4-hour charts on the RSI is that we're not seeing a very steep decline. Okay, we're starting to, we saw a bit of a steep decline here, but it's really flat at the moment. Even when we're seeing a larger red candle right now, it's still pretty flat. And typically speaking, we're going to see, when we see something like this, let's go back here. When we see something like this, these tend to be less dramatic falls, right? We start to just see this little flat fall, it finds some support, it goes back up. Flat fall, it finds some support, it goes back up, okay? Once we start seeing these really steep declines, that's typically when we see a larger pullback. And so with that, it does seem, in my opinion, as if this is going to be a simple retracement in which we come back down, find some support, and continue back to the top side. Especially considering the fact that we are seeing Solana add value to its blockchain through things such as this Brave and Solana partnership, in which Brave is actually going to be integrating Solana blockchain and featuring some of Solana's decentralized applications or dApps on its browser. All of these things are simply just increasing the internal value of Solana. And as that does happen, I do believe it will continue to be reflected in the price. So if this is the case, and if it is going to find some support, let's talk about some key support levels in which I am expecting to hold. Well, the very first one, of course, is going to be based off of our Fibonacci's. We're simply just going to draw a swing low from this low that was put in right here on November 5th up to the high that we put in here on November 6th. What we can see is that gives us a short-term Fibonacci 0.618 to 786 zone currently sitting right between $242 and $236. I'm personally expecting that if we're going to find some very short-term support, that this is going to be the zone that we find it in. So currently do be looking for a bounce to happen between $242 and $236. And if we are to lose that level, I am really expecting that a bounce will happen at our previous level of support, currently sitting at $231. I don't believe that today we will fall below this level. If it does start to get close, which is about a 5 to 6% fall, maybe I'll give you guys another update. But in the short term, if we're just going to see some very small temporary bounce, similar to what we saw back here, I do believe that this is going to be the level that will hold. Okay, now we can also back this up by looking at our EMAs. At the moment, when we enable our EMAs, we have been finding a loads of support on top of our 20 and our 50 EMA. And so as long as we are staying, above our 50 EMA, I definitely think that these zones will hold. Now, if we do start to see the price falling below this 50 EMA, say the price comes back down and we lose that 50 EMA, and then we lose this $231 level, be on the lookout for an interaction at the 100 EMA on the 4-hour charts. We've seen it back here, we saw it here, and it's definitely possible that it will happen here. So those are my 3 key support levels right now. Our 618 to 786 zone on the 4-hour charts. We then have our previous level of support at $231, and then our final level of support that I do believe will hold is sitting right around at the moment $220 at the 100 EMA on the 4-hour charts. This is also backed up by our daily EMAs, as the daily 20 EMA is sitting directly where our 4-hour 100 EMA is, just meaning that if we do lose these short-term levels, our more mid-term level will more than likely hold, especially considering what we have been seeing over this entire move to the upside, with that 20 EMA region holding as support very well. So overall, this thing looks fine. I'm not too concerned about what we're seeing right now. It does still seem and feel pretty bullish to me. Now, we do need to see that we are able to find that support though. The reason I say that is because we are converging on the daily MACD. Now, this is typically going to be bearish, but what we've been seeing from Solana is this convergence, and then it finds some short-term support and continues upwards. And if we are able to find some support in the short term, I am expecting the same exact thing to happen. It could be a little bit less of a dramatic swing, something like that, but as long as we do avoid this blue and orange EMA crossing through each other, then we're all good to go. But if we start to see our short-term support levels failing, and then we start to see the orange line cross through or the blue line cross downwards through the orange line, our 2 EMAs death crossing, then that could be a sign that we may be looking at more of a substantial fall in the midterm. So with that being said, of course, I will update you guys as soon as I possibly can if anything big does happen. In today's video, I just wanted to update you all on yesterday's video, talk about the fact that we called this thing pretty accurately and saying that there was a high chance it was going to fall to the downside. And now I'm just giving you all the levels that we're watching out for, which is again $242 at 236 for our Fibonacci region. We have a previous level of support at $231, and then we have $220, which is currently our 1-day 20 EMA, as well as being where our 4-hour 100 EMA is as well. So definitely do stay tuned, keep an eye out on these levels, and as long as we're above them, I wouldn't be stressing out too much. If you do want more updates on these cryptos, if you do want updates on all your favorite cryptos, go down to the link in the description. It brings you over to my Patreon, which is where I go over all of that. And so of course, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video, but if you did, you can let me know by smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel if you are new, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.